Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. One business to actually start off with is on this channel. If you guys have not seen it, please check out the Bone Breaker episode because, trust me, there was a lot of love put into that, but in the end, I was pretty pleased with how it came out. So anyway, guys, if you haven't given it a look, I please ask you to do that after watching this video. And the last little bit of house cleaning, guys, is look at the screen right now. Can we all agree we just need this already? Like, come on, man. I'm a big fan of Dirge, and I'm like, just come on, please, 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 man. We need this right now. Come on. However, back to what this video is actually about. Now, I know, guys, this is not our typical style video that we have on this channel, but I wanted to go ahead and share this with you. So today, we're actually going to be taking a look at the upgrades for these guys that, well, I think they all really sorely needed to begin with. So we'll start off with Shadow Panther because he really just needed one thing. You know, he was stuck with this tail whip and he was always having to steal guns from other dudes and all that. Whenever he just needed one that was colored pretty much to match his whole thing with the gray barrel and the gut gun. Now this is a little bit smaller than the one than the third-party one that I got for Cheetor, and it's definitely smaller than the one that came with Tigertron, but for him it will do, and that looks awesome. So he finally has his own gun. Now, one of his other friends actually came with this upgrade right here, which, as you can see in this picture, it actually implements into beast mode if you want it to replace the stock one, which, to be honest, I might end up doing because A, it looks more like a real Stinger, and B, as you can see now here in robot mode, it is more appropriate and more show accurate for him to have this. Beast or bot, definitely digging that part. However, it did come with a secondary thing, which is this kind of piercing weapon, which, you know, that's not really something he had, but it does kind of offer him a little bit more of an offensive look. Now, if he wanted to like just fly in and stab somebody, he could definitely do that. So an extra, but it's really kind of a cool one for Waspinator. Scorponok. He had some issues. Now, everybody, if you're wondering, oh, well, isn't this the upgrade kit that messes up his beast mode? No. No. There was actually a different one that does grant him the leg height that he needs, but does not jack up his beast mode, which, you know, that's the reason I didn't get the first one that came out that it seems like everybody saw, because it's like, well, I don't want it to make him look really good in one mode, but make him look like total crap in the other. So this upgrade kit not only had the leg upgrades, but as you can see, you actually input these little ports, and now you actually have 4 different missiles that he can launch out of his claws. So Hasbro did a decent job, but again, this is just going the extra mile. Plus, the other thing that I love is you actually get to replace his stinger tail, and this is more accurate to what his original 90s toy had. There is that nice little homage with this upgrade kit. So now he is actually taller than Black Arachnia, which in the show they were about the same height, but he always edged her out a little bit. So now we've got that rocking. So, you know, whenever it's upgrading my Beast Wars boys, definitely I am down for that. One of the easiest ones was this guy, which, as we all know, he came with Daniel, and we all were like, could you have just not done that and just given us the sword instead of Daniel? Nobody cares about that character. All I wanted was a sword, which one of the weird things about it is on this one side it's got more of a clean look, whereas if you flip it around this way it looks like more of a battle damaged look, which whether that's intentional or not I don't know, but it is kind of cool to have. Now, the one thing that I did not know he came with, I guess in the original toy, was a missile launcher. So that's again just yet another of this 4-piece upgrade kit. So the third piece we're going to look at is this gold tip right here. It's not exactly matching the tail, but it's close enough, and it could be used as a handheld weapon, but mainly it's meant to stay in there all the time so that it frees up the stock weapon that he came with. Now, this little thing right here actually has a place where you can slot the sword on, you put the stock weapon, and you can put the missile launcher in here so that he can actually carry it around on his back in robot mode or he could also do it in beast mode, which looks pretty cool. Moving on to our last two guys before we wrap up this video. I think it's fair to say that you guys know that if this was going to be a Rhinox, they really phoned it in, okay? Now, I've applied the Toy Hacks labels, which has made his chest look right, and even the shoulders that he had in the show very vaguely are represented by this section right here on both shoulders. And also now on his head, he actually has the maximal emblems like he should. By no stretch is this a masterpiece Rhinox. I will always defend the Thrilling 30 as probably the masterpiece version. But this guy in his own right has his own Rhinox, especially now with upgrades that link him more to the original look of the figure instead of just the half-baked approach. It definitely helps a ton, which, as you can see in these pictures, what some of the smaller details is that they gave you like these black stickers to fill in the nostrils on the beast mode, but also they gave you deals that cover up the green bits of his shoulders that were just previously exposed. Again, one of those phoned in elements. Plus, I went ahead and I attached the maximal symbol there to his right shoulder because, as you can see in Beast and Bot, it looks good and it is always in an upright orientation, whereas where they wanted you to put it, it would have been sideways in robot mode. And I'm like, no, we're gonna go with some place that makes a lot more sense. Now, one of the things that is not part of the Toy Hacks upgrade kit was giving him his accurate chain gun weapons of doom, which, you know, I'm glad that the Kingdom guy incorporated them, and they just like dwindled it down till it was a handle with a blade on it. I'm like, oh, that is such a crappy look. So if you wanted to have them with the chain gun bits out, you know, they were blasting like it was shown in some episodes, you can do that. Although the majority of the time they were more like this. But again, it is accurate to who Rhinox is with his big chain guns, and he now is a heck of a lot closer than when he started, and I finally feel like maybe I'll be able to enjoy this Rhinox now that it, again, like I've probably said 100 times, looks more like he should. Okay, so for any fans of Shattered Glass, we're looking at our boy here, Heroic Megatron, and the one thing that has always bugged me about this guy and why I initially said, oh no, I'm not getting Shattered Glass Megatron, only to, you know, here he is now. The thing is the wings. They were what bugged me the most, because if you look at Hasbro stock photography, they just have these wings that barely come out, and it's like, okay, I get what you're trying to reference, yet you're failing spectacularly because just so many reasons. So as you can see on my boy here, it's partially covered up by that piece, but we actually have wing extenders that actually put them out to a decent width away from his body to where they are more noticeable from the front side, which again, that does a heck of a lot just by itself. Now, the other thing is the cannons. These are also a very necessary piece of trying to harken back to that robot mode. So the other thing is, in Energon, that Megatron had a sword that was like this, that initially was handheld.
You'll pay for this.
Which I kind of like that look. Now, this does have a peg in it for the shorter sword over here. You can see it's a much more simplified, and he can hold it in his hand, but I like how this looks a little bit more. Now, also, Energon Megatron had the arm cannon, which can flip around like this. So if I don't want the blade hindered, I can just go ahead and use the other one now, and you know, we've got pretty much an accurate Megatron as to how he should, for the most part, look. So in vehicle mode, if we look at this picture, that Energon-esque Megatron jet, that I feel is so much more superior than the jet mode that Hasbro just kind of pulled out of their rear end with the Shattered Glass Megatron. However, if we take it as its own independent deal rather than trying to replicate the old one. It's a decent alien jet, but again, my brain will always compare it to what it's trying to be, and it will always fall short. You can see here with some of the stuff in robot mode now, how he stacks up to the original, and you probably are seeing what I was talking about. I am very glad to have a now decent version of Shatterglass Megatron, and for me that's probably good enough. So anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed that look that we had at our little upgrade Lalapooza, or whatever you want to call it. And with that being said guys, until next time,
Maximize.